Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to a visit on the mound. I'm Lark Smith, and he is
Stan Huff.
And today we want to talk about spring training because we're in February and Major League Baseball is about to start up spring training, pitchers and catchers reporting. I did notice that there's one thing a little bit different about pitchers and catchers reporting this year, and that's because this is a year of a World Baseball Congress. And some of those pitchers and catchers are going to report a little bit earlier because they're going to be playing for their national countries or whatever. I'm not real sure about this World Baseball Congress deal other than it's just more baseball to watch. But anyway, that's what I understand. They're going to report a little bit earlier, but still, spring training. You got the Grapefruit League, you got the Cactus League. The Grapefruit League over in Florida, the Cactus League over in Arizona. I've made it a goal of mine that one of these days I'm going to take a week to go out to Arizona, out to Phoenix, and watch baseball every day that week and go out to spring training and just enjoy what goes on during spring training. Now, you have been a part of spring training in your baseball playing career. And the first question I have for you is, what is a non-roster invitee and how much opportunity will they have to become a roster player?
I was that guy.
You was that guy?
Yeah.
How many times?
Multiple times. We're not going to go. Anyway, you get there. As a catcher, I was catching a lot of pitchers, but I got in some B games and did pretty good. But it's not like that was essential because those guys were getting their work in. The Major League guys were getting their work in, and we were their components, as you say, to help them get to where they need to be. Now, as a non-roster invitee, you know, the Major League guys are getting to know you and all that kind of stuff, and you know, it's interesting time frame. You know, I had a lot of fun. It was interesting and definitely. To be able to do that, I thought was like a dream anyway.
Yeah.
But you know, to get to the big leagues, okay, you got to be in the right place, right time with the right guy.
Right.
I mean, the gauntlet at the bottom is so wide. Okay, everybody gets a shot. Well, then when you get to A ball, it gets a little narrower. You get to Double A, it's like the top 4% get there. AAA, it's a top 2%, and then big leagues, it's top 1%. So that area of movement, it becomes really tight. Mm-hmm. So I was fortunate; I got to do a lot of that. Anyway, it was quite an episode too. You know, one spring training, Willie Mays. I sat next to Willie Mays for the whole spring training, and it was. I never even thought about asking him for an autograph. But all those guys were good ball players out there then, yeah. So that's what that is.
Okay, when the Major League players report to spring training, what's a typical spring training day for them? I mean, does it start like 8 o'clock in the morning or
9?
9?
Yeah, and it's tell you what. Let me just go through this real quick, and we'll get to that. So depends if you're driving or flying. Most guys that drive will go and get an apartment or rent a place. You know, usually those guys are at higher levels in the game. The lower level guys are going to stay at the team's hotel. Okay.
Okay.
So I would fly to spring training because they had a bus every day to the ballpark, and that's all I was doing. I was just going to well, if I wanted to walk around town, it was usually St. Petersburg, Florida. That's where we trained when I was with the Mets.
Right.
Now, if I wanted to do something, I'd just walk. And we had places to go walk to within walking distance of the hotel, which was fine.
Nowadays they got Uber.
They didn't have Uber then.
They had taxis, but they cost too much for guys that weren't making much money.
Yeah, a taxi driver was making more in one trip, and we were making a whole day. So we'd fly to spring training, okay? And the parent club sent you tickets. They'd send instructions on what you need to do when you got there. Now when we flew into St. Petersburg. Actually, we landed in Tampa. And we'd take the Suncoast limousine over to St. Petersburg, to whatever hotel we were staying at. Mm-hmm. The best one was the Edgewater Beach Hotel. It's not there anymore, but it was on the Tampa Bay, and it was a really nice place there, and it was a nice hotel. We'd stay there, and we'd check in. Okay, of course the hotel was told to tell the Mets people that was in charge, who was there, who wasn't, all that. So they get that down. And when you come in the first time, you'll see a lot of players, and you kind of get to know each other then. But if you're there 2 or 3 or 4 years, you're seeing friends now that you can just kind of pal up to and just, hey, how you been? How's the winter and all that? What you been doing?
Sure.
And that's kind of nice to be able to do that. But like I said, normally it'll be a van or a bus that picks you up in the morning, and they usually pick us up around 8 o'clock. We could eat in the restaurant, hotel restaurant there, have breakfast, and then we'd go down, and the first bus would come and pick us up at 8 o'clock. Well, they'd go and come back, so it'd take about 15 to 20 minutes, but they only had 2 buses. No, 3 buses. They had 3 buses. So by the time everybody's there, we usually got on the field around 9 o'clock in the morning. But as we got to spring training, though, when you got to the clubhouse attendant, a guy named Tom Miller, is really a nice guy. He'd have it all ready to go for you. Now, all the stuff that you'd need, like your towels, sanitary hose, because we had syrups back then, that was in your locker when you came there, and you go to him, and he'd issue you a uniform. They try to fit you to a size that, they had a lot of uniforms there. They'd fit you to a size. I mean, the first year we had those old wool uniforms.
Ugh.
Well, they were awful.
Yeah,
and when you're sweating in that Florida heat,
yeah,
that stuff stays in those, and it's like carrying around 10 pounds of water.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, well, the next year we had the double knits, so that was a one and done deal. But anyway, they give you that. Then you get a key. You got a key to your. We had like a post office box. Those post office. You put your key in and get your mail out. This was put your valuables in. You take the key to the window, and you get your towel and sanitary hose. Okay, so you go get ready for the day, and as the day's over, you take your sanitary hose and your towel after you showered back, and they give your key, and you go take your stuff out, leave the key in the
lockbox.
The lockbox. Now, here's a funny story. I got to tell you this. Okay. There was a guy, and I'm not naming names, cocky. He thought the sun rose and set on his back. And he didn't mind walking around talking about himself.
We've seen those.
Anyway, he's an okay ball player. Wasn't great, though. But when you got released, let me hold that thought. But when you got released and you came in the next day, that key wasn't in your post office box.
Okay.
And you go to Tom Miller or I can't remember the other guy's name there. He tell you need to go see the director. Well, that usually means kaput. You're out. You're going home.
Yeah.
Our director at that time was a guy named Nelson Burbrink, and he was a bulldog. And matter of fact, if he wasn't in a good mood, you didn't want to be around him. He was a great guy to me the whole time, but you didn't want to be around him because he could really crawl down your backside pretty quick. Well, this guy was a high pick that I'm talking about, that cocky guy. Well, we decided we're going to play a trick on him. Well, we got to the ballpark ahead of him. I went over and grabbed his key. And Tom Miller was playing along with us. I said, tell him to go see Nellie Burbrink. And the guy comes in, beating his chest and all that. He goes over. He started screaming, "Where's my effing key?" And we're sitting over there, we're chuckling, you know, and we're just kind of looking around the lockers to see what he's doing. I mean, he's raising holy hell with everybody.
I'm sure.
And hey, this ain't right. There's no way I'm going home. And all this stuff. He was getting on it. I mean, he was on his soapbox, pleading his case.
Yeah.
And old Tom Miller, he just looked at him and said, I'm sorry. You got to go see Nellie. Nellie's waiting for you. Well, Nellie didn't know anything about this.
No.
He goes in. Nellie, what the hell's going on? And he's really starting to swear. Nellie goes, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, my key's not my post office, my valuables box. Nellie said, I tell you what, you better get your ass out of here and get ready on that field and quit not with this nonsense. I mean, he sent him out. I mean, it was a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
but
sure.
I can't repeat all that.
Yeah, I
we
understand.
could hear it.
Yeah.
We could hear it. And when he came out, his key was back in his locker, in his post office box, and he still, to this day, doesn't know who did that. But
unless he listens to this podcast.
We got a kick out of it. We did. We definitely got a kick out of it. Okay, so let me
better
go
than
on
a hot
here.
foot.
Yeah. Okay, so once all the uniforms, we get our uniforms and get ready to go.
Right.
Okay, that's when all the staff comes out, from the rookie ball managers to the AAA managers and their pitching coaches and all the instructors come out. We have a meeting and they introduce everybody. Okay, now you're talking about at this time. We do this twice. Pitchers and catchers are there. We get it first, and then when everybody else comes in, they do it again.
Right.
All right. So after that, okay, we're on the field 8 hours a day. Okay, the first 2 weeks is nothing more than we're doing flexibility exercises. We're stretching. We're running. We're going over defensive plays. We're doing offensive stuff, picks and rundowns, cutoffs and relays, all bunt defenses and all that. And the catchers are blocking balls like you ain't never seen blocking balls. We're blocking balls. Now, Clyde McCullough used to get a fungo on the pitcher's mound and hit them to us. Let me tell you, have you ever seen a person do that? This guy could do it, and he did it well. He'd move us to the right, move us to the left, and we'd have to block those balls. Now, he was no pushover either, so you better did it. You better do it while he was out there too. Otherwise, he's going to crawl up your backside as well. Now, the first 2 weeks is the intense physical training, like I said, and all the stuff that we do. Then the next 2 weeks, we start playing. Okay, we're playing games. This is where you make the team. Okay, well, I was fortunate. I did okay on all those. I hit good all the time in spring training. That's because I got to play. But anyway, I got to tell you about the first time I went to bat. Now, this is
first bat at spring training.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, oh, this is cool. You know, we're wearing these Mets uniforms. That's really, New York Mets on there and all that. I thought it was really
feel like a big
cool.
leaguer.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, you're part of the system. You betcha. Well, Nellie comes out and said, all right, guys, we're not going to go through the routines this morning. We're just going to hit. Okay, this is going to be a good time. It's going to be a relaxed day. You're going to come in for lunch. Now, lunch, here's our lunch. It was a beef bouillon soup with a boiled egg, a banana, or an apple, or an orange. And that was it.
Wow.
With a boiled egg. Well, anyway, at one of those big league camps, one of these reporters stuck a banana in his briefcase. It was one of these big shots writers from New York. I said, "Hey, that's my banana. Put it back." And he said, "Who are you?" I said, "That doesn't matter, but you got my banana. Put it back." Well, I'm arguing with this guy. Joe Torre walks up behind and says, "What's the problem?" And he knew the guy, Joe or whatever, or Jim. He said, "This kid wants me to put the banana back that I took." I said, "That's my banana. He needs to put it back. I was going to eat it." Now he took it He goes, Stan, he can have that banana. Leave it alone. I said, no, I want that damn banana. It wasn't anymore. So I lost that argument. Joe Torre is the one that told the guy, said, hey, you can have that banana, and told me to get out on the field.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let me go back. But the first game I ever played in was against the Cincinnati Reds team.
Okay.
Well, Nelly comes out and says, we're going to do the batting practice. After lunch, we're gonna play the game.
Right.
Well, he said, we're playing the Cincinnati Reds. They're coming over here. They'll be here at so-and-so time. I want you out on the field this time getting ready to play. Well, I'm thinking this is pretty cool. Well, all of a sudden, I'm thinking, this is for real.
Mm-hmm.
And it really was kind of.
It sinks in.
Now, Chuck Hiller was my manager, and I was in the lineup, and I was batting fourth. And well, you remember these things when it's the first time it happens, you
Sure.
know? And I remember this kid that was pitching for Cincinnati's team. He was snarling at me. He's about 6'7", and he was snarling at me. And I'm standing at the plate, and all of a sudden my legs started shaking.
A little stage fright?
I thought, wait a minute, timeout, call timeout. I heard everybody on my side over there, they were laughing. We didn't have dugouts. There were just benches out there against the screen. Mm-hmm. I mean, a chain link fence, and they were hooting and hollering. And I just looked. I got some dirt on my hands. I'm wiping. I'm thinking, golly, you're either going to do this now or you're going to take your sissy self home.
Right.
Well, I got in there, worked the count. I got a base hit. I hit a hard ground ball right through his legs. So my first at bat, I got a hit.
Very good.
I really did. And that was like, okay.
Yeah.
That just took all the pressure off.
I can do this.
I can do this. So what was funny, though, was my legs shaking. I wish somebody had a video of that, because I got I guess you're born with a survival mechanism. It's
Absolutely.
a fear thing. You know, you're tentative. And I guess that for the first time in my life, it really hit me that this is for real.
Yeah.
And there's a if you can get more determined, you'll take away all the fear.
Absolutely.
So
it's a confidence factor.
Yeah, it is. I said, I'm going to do this. And I got determined, and I did it.
Yeah.
So after that, it was it was easy, because I felt like, oh, I could do this.
Yeah. I belong here.
And then I got really cocky. They put me in a AAA game, and I got a couple of hits. And then this next guy that comes in, he throws me a fastball, and I hit it 400 feet foul. And he throws another one. I hit it 400 feet foul. Well, he sized me up pretty quick, because the next pitch he threw was a changeup, and I about screwed myself into the ground and struck out. And he just smiled as he walked off the field.
See you, Rook.
He goes, you showed me how to pitch to you.
Yeah.
And he told me that later.
Yeah.
I said, did I? Yeah. He said, those balls I threw inside after you hit the first one, I threw another one there because I knew I could get strike two on you, and you hit it foul because it was so far inside.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's like that curveball that they threw me that I about broke my neck trying to hit. The guy goes, yeah, okay, we'll just keep throwing him curveballs. Steady diet. Sit him on the bench real quick.
Well, after that, you just go play and try to do as best you can. That's about it.
So that's spring training.
That's spring training. I mean, you know, the sad part about spring training is some of these guys that you get to know and you think they're really cool, you're going to be with them and all that, they didn't make it.
No.
And that was a downer day. I can tell you when that happened. It was a bad day. And you know, the coaches and managers, that wasn't a fun day for them.
Oh,
either.
I'm sure it's not.
No, it's.
Does that happen? Is there a particular day that this is the cut day?
Mm-mm.
It's just it goes, you know, certain player, and all of a sudden they just realize this guy's not a fit or whatever, and says, you know, sorry, but we're sending you home.
No, I can tell you one more story Chuck Hiller did. There was a high pick infielder that he started arguing with all the coaches out there.
Ooh, that's a wrong thing to be doing.
He'd been around a couple of years too.
Yeah.
And this particular year, now I wasn't there when this happened. I just heard about it, but Chuck grabbed this guy by the collar, took him in there, packed his stuff for him, said, "Get out of here.
Wow.
You're not coming back." And they released him.
As opposed to trade him or anything like that.
No, they released him.
Just released him.
Yeah, so it's you gotta conduct yourself like a big leaguer, you know. And sometimes I did, and sometimes I didn't.
I can understand.
Anyway.
What were you, 23, 24, 25 years old?
At that time?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like 19. Or first year? I mean, later on, yeah. Look, this kept going till I was 30 years old, 31.
Yeah.
So, it was, anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, that's our time for this episode of A Visit to the Mound. We do thank you for listening. If you have any questions or comment, anything you would like for us to cover, we would like to hear from you. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at A Visit to the Mound, or visit us online at avisittothemound.com. Make sure you like, subscribe, and review the podcast, and be listening the next time that we make A Visit to the Mound. That'll wrap up this visit to the mound. We certainly appreciate you joining us today for a little baseball talk. Anytime you want to hear something about baseball, you can find us anywhere you get your podcast, or you can go to roguemedianetwork.com for the next edition of A Visit to the Mound.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.